Yo, this is the Beyond the Dojo podcast. I'm Lauren.
I'm Jeremiah. What was that?
That was a hello without the H-E-L-L. Without the hell.
That was too street for you. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. I almost just asked the camera how they were doing. How are you doing?
How are you doing?
That's good.
That's awesome.
So we just had a seminar last weekend, which may be a crazy thing to do right now, all things considered, but we done it.
We're in Florida, so it's really not that crazy.
We're in Florida, so COVID's not real. So we actually we started planning this in May, maybe, I think.
May.
Yeah, and we called it the
Florida Friendship Seminar.
Indeed, we did. And you want to explain kind of what the idea was, since it was your idea?
It was intended for Shotokankaratehumanperformance, Florida, that were to bring different organization and groups together to train together for a weekend. The main goal was to get people to network and kind of create friendships amongst different dojos. We as traditional martial artists, especially karateka, the clubs are dwindling, the numbers are dwindling, and we need to find a way to create a community of welcoming and acceptance, in the sense that, just to nurture the community.
Yeah.
In a sense, I think a lot of times with karate, especially Shotokan karate, there was decades of it's this way, the other way is wrong. Mm-hmm. My way is the only right way. And the reality, there's so much more similarities amongst different groups than there are differences.
Yeah.
And the differences are so petty that it's unreal.
Yeah.
So I felt like the guys that we had this weekend, Tom Frudeker, Jay Exum, Juan Cruz, and Terry Gartner were different enough. And
Rick Houghton.
Rick Houghton, obviously. I'm sorry.
Instructor.
We're different enough that the contrast was nice.
Yeah.
But the similarities of all five men, was obvious.
Right.
And I felt like that was a good thing. Plus, the location, the venue. Kashimon Dojo in Eustis, Florida.
If you guys haven't checked out this dojo, it's pretty neat. So this guy has ties to the Japanese consulate, I guess, and he basically got a grant to build this Kyudo Iaido dojo.
Well, he went through the proper channels, and got a grant from the Japanese Budo, I believe it's Japanese government Budo Preservation Association or something, where the whole intention is to build these Budokans, or these traditional Japanese martial art schools or dojos that promote the traditional way of kendo, judo, aikido, karate, tea ceremony, kyudo, that's the archery, iaido, all these things. Although he only does iaido, kyudo, and shotokan karate, it's intended to promote the culture, the Japanese culture, martial arts culture, and he knocked it out of the park, man.
Yeah, it's a really nice facility. Amazing. And it's right like 15 minutes down the road from Mount Dora. And if you're from Florida, well, I guess there's some people from Florida that don't know Mount Dora exists. Mount Dora is a very old, small town, like downtown feel. They have like 0 franchises. It's all like local mom and pop shops or whatever, like singular businesses, and really, really cool, like eclectic area. We stayed at the Lakeside Inn, which is a 140-year-old hotel. Teeny tiny rooms, but I mean, you can tell it's from the 1880s. So really, just a neat atmosphere overall. Like, I think
if you're looking to go to a vacation or even a little weekender, if you're from Florida, I would encourage you to guys go down there. There's always something going on. The city hosts so many festivals and so many little different things. I think they have a farmer's market on Sunday mornings.
Right.
They have, a square for festivities. And then the downtown block and a half, 2 blocks is just amazing. Yeah. There's several restaurants that are just out of this world.
Right.
And plus they have, ice cream shops, antique shops.
Yeah. All kinds of stuff.
All different kinds of cuisine. There's Cuban, there's German, there's Japanese, fusion, there's Americana, there's fish. I mean, it's...
Basically what we tried to do was make it to where no one really had an excuse to not come.
Right.
So we planned this seminar literally in the center of the state. It's literally like it took almost everyone the exact same amount of time to get there. It took everybody between 1 to 2.5, maybe 3 hours to get there. So it was accessible. Plus, there were things for people's families to do. So that, I think, was a big plus as well.
I think
so if you're planning a seminar, you should do that.
Yeah, honestly, the things available for the mom and the kids to do while dad's out training karate is just ideal. You know, plus it's on a lake. Literally,
What is?
Mount Dora.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The dojo wasn't on a lake.
The dojo wasn't on a lake.
Next to a pond.
It had a retention pond next to it, which was kind of nice.
What's a regular pond?
It was retention pond.
It's a pond. A pond's a pond, okay? It's got fish in it and lily pads. It's a pond.
Okay, but Mount Dora is on a lake also, so you have boating activities you can do, swimming, stuff like that. Just got really lucky with the ability to kind of set that up for the seminar, and then I think that was like it set the tone for the rest of the weekend. Like everybody came in there and was like just awed by the dojo and like how it's set up and the whole situation and the way the location is. It's on top of a slight hill, so there was this nice breeze coming through.
Even though it was hot and the AC was like almost non-existent.
Yeah. And then the dojo itself is like the dojo floor is built with reclaimed wood from a barn that was torn down up the road. So he bought the wood from this old barn and then reused it for the dojo floor and for some other things in the dojo.
Are you sure? I thought the floor was new.
No, he said that's all reclaimed.
Okay, well, whatever. It was still really pretty. So let's talk about the actual seminar. Okay, so before we keep going, let's do like favorite and least favorite part of the seminar. So what was your favorite part?
No, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. This was a tough one. I think my favorite part was even on day one to watch people who I knew were from different organizations like picking on each other in class and stuff. Like I watched,
in a good way.
Like I watched one, like they were like messing around and like having fun in class. Like I watched one dude from one organization turn around and saw a chick back here from another organization and was picking on her for something, and they're laughing and having a good time, even though we're continuing to train. Like that was so cool. And then there were other things like. When we were at dinner at one point, two of the instructors who never would have met otherwise were like talking about, I did this back in the 70s, blah, blah, blah. And they're like sharing all these shared experiences that they didn't have together, but because they're the same age, like they went through the same stuff and they're into the same stuff. Right. So it was really cool because they're like, when you're ever in my area, you can come and train with me or whatever. So it was really, really cool to watch. It was
like new BFFs. It was crazy.
I know. Like brother from another mother.
What? That's not BFF though.
I know.
Okay. Cool. So for me,
BFAM.
Yeah.
BFAM. BFAM. You are my BFAM.
For me, the best part of the weekend would have to be the overall feel of the people, the participants and the instructors, and how it was all about sharing ideas. Being inclusive, not being exclusive, trying to work on these things. I know there was points in different classes where people were like disagreeing with it in a sense, but they didn't voice their disagreement, nor did they, shrug it off and be like, I'm not going to do that. That's pointless. Yeah. Everybody participated. Everybody wanted to try it. And then everybody had this attitude that, you could use it if you want, but if you don't, it's okay too. Right. It was like really cool how that to me was an open-minded atmosphere.
Yeah. And honestly, like, even though it is annoying for someone to go to a seminar to pay to be there and to not do what an instructor says, like to completely dismiss it and just do their own thing, it is annoying. But the goal of a seminar was for everyone to at least be training together and to be okay with like having different points of view on stuff and still be able to like train. So I thought that part was really cool.
Right. I think the other good thing was like the networking that happened beyond. Lauren and I haven't met a lot of people and everything else, but I saw networking happening between other participants beyond the senseis too. It was like, there could be there was a foundation or an idea for the University of Florida to have a karate club again.
Right.
There were several individuals who trained on their own a lot that now has these access to groups that train on the weekend, or the welcome to come in and train at different dojos, and that to me was our goal.
Yeah, that happened like 4 or 5 different times.
Yeah, that's the foundation of building a community that's welcoming.
Right.
And open-minded, not just saying they're open-minded and only believe what they believe, but actually putting the words to work.
Right.
And I thought that was cool. The worst thing has to be the weather. It was hot. It was just hot, and that's our fault. We should have picked a better date. I was just concerned with conflicts at the time when we picked the date. I thought that the seminar season was going to be in full effect again, where it usually picks up around the fall and kind of dies off towards the end of the winter.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to bring the senseis in and everything. So I made it earlier. I think Lauren, I think you made the suggestion of maybe October, November next year. And I think that's going to be the ideal time where it's cool enough that we can enjoy a downtown Mount Dora at night, walk around and just enjoy the weather. And then cool enough for the training so we could open the doors up and just have an amazing time. That to me was a cool thing too about the dojo, is that it had a wall of windows, glass doors, that basically ran down the whole length of the dojo on one side. And it's for the Kyudo, where they basically will shoot their archery out of the dojo itself, right?
Right.
But we were able to open that up. And I just love that, like, training outside without having to deal with the dirt and sand and everything else.
Yeah.
I like that, so that was really fun.
Yeah, we open the doors and you can hear the cicadas, because the cicadas are like so loud right now in Florida. So especially toward the evening, you open those up and you can hear stuff outside. When we first got there Saturday morning, Jeremiah's mopping the dojo, and then Sensei Valila that owns the place, he comes and opens the doors, and there's sandhill cranes outside, and they're just kind of looking in the building and stuff. So I think somebody had to shoo them out of there too.
Yeah. Well, Sebastian Sensei was saying that he had to do that before. He had to literally shoo them out of the dojo. That to me is like, I'm telling you guys, I know this sounds like a paid advertisement for the Kashiman Dojo, but that place is amazing.
It is really cool.
It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And like we're tooting our horn a lot by talking about like this great destination we picked for the seminar, and then the dojo itself and everything. But honestly, it literally set the tone. Yeah,
I think so. I think it was calming enough, especially with how insane of a year and a half everywhere or longer that everyone has had. I think it was a nice change, and that was one of the compliments we got from people. Besides the fact that everyone said the training was really good.
Yeah.
It was just kind of getting out of town and going to a place that it was in the center of the state, but was just inaccessible enough that it was really quiet. And I think everybody kind of needed that. They needed a chance to be able to get away. I think for me, the worst thing was a little frustrated with the restaurant that we ate at on Saturday. We love this place, but everyone's understaffed right now, and it was a holiday weekend, so it made it worse. So we had to wait.
Mount Dora was celebrating their township or whatever, 100 years, 100 something years.
So it was we were there for a long time, but the cool thing is that everyone was cool with it. They were like, nah, that's fine. We can wait for 3 hours. It's fine. Yeah. Like, everybody was talking about, their karate background, and we were talking about different things that happened at the seminar. We were able to kind of have open discussions about, differing opinions about things. We were talking about nihilism and death and whatever else we talked about.
Yeah, it was cool because that location has an outdoor seating area that they only use so many tables, and we're able to sit there and talk and wait and the weather was great, no rain or nothing at that time. The wind was blowing through. It was nice. I really enjoyed that.
The other thing that was cool was how, even though all of the instructors came from completely different backgrounds, it was really cool how a lot of the concepts actually ended up tying together.
Right.
Because on Friday, Tom Frudiker taught on
shifting
type stuff, and then Rick kind of picked up on that, and I feel like he had a really basic point of view that he wanted, some points that he wanted to make, but it still tied in with what Tom was teaching. And then the next morning, JXM was teaching stuff that also kind of fit along those same
Jay's
lines.
class was about techniques in between techniques.
Yeah.
The idea of being... we ended up with doing a Superman punch where you're kind of stepping in and hitting a reverse punch kind of thing.
Yeah.
it kind of tied all into me, and I thought that was a great idea. He went over Go no Sen, Sen no Sen, and then said, okay, well, this is what could happen, right? And then, Juan Cruz did the Saturday afternoon class, and it was cool to see how, and this is what my goal was, that every teacher would teach something different.
Right.
And Juan was talking about how he does application of per move of kata.
Okay.
And he had these two cool drum drills with hand iran, hand yondan. And then he said, okay, let's look at it completely abstract.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we were doing the moves against hook punches and different things. And I thought that was great. His energy wasn't intense.
Yeah, it was high energy.
And that to me was even nice. Like, his teaching style, it was so much more active and intense compared to the other two, because and that's the beauty of karate, right? Is that everybody has their own thing. And it was nice at that moment. I realized, hey, it's all right. It's all right to be intense. It's all right to be calm and collective. It's all right to be, the self-proclaimed heretic. It's okay. Yeah. Because we're all doing the thing we love, you know? And I just, man, it was cool. And then Terry in the Sunday morning,
that was really neat.
So Terry's a retired highway patrolman, and he said, okay, these are the things I saw while I was at work, how violence escalated and stuff like that. That he talked about, you could use your basic ideas, basic blocks and punches, but they have to be tweaked to fit the situation.
It was cool because he was teaching like self-defense to karate people who always teach self-defense, but he was taking it a step further because he's been in the line of duty. Right.
So he was sharing what he used and how he did it, and signs of violence and everything else. To me, I liked his class because it was so engaging. There was a lot of interaction. Yeah. And that's really cool because, a lot of times you go to seminar, you listen to the teacher, they tell you what to do, and then you do it. Right, and there's not a lot of interaction. Right. I like interacting with the teacher so that we could pick their brains a little bit more. And I thought he did a wonderful job. Yeah. Overall, though, Rick Houghton, every class knocked it out of the park. Yeah. He stayed. All their senseis stayed true to themselves, their identity, what they believed their karate was about, and no one was ridiculed for it. No one was criticized for it. Yeah. And I thought that was
thought something really nice was that Rick took a lot of the time to talk about introspection, feeling your way through your karate, and which I think is important because I feel like a lot of times we really don't do that. If you took nothing else from those classes, being able to take away the fact that you should be thinking more deeply about what you're doing, I think was really, really important. And I know that sometimes different organizations don't really do that, where they just kind of do mindless repetition, and some people like that because they feel like it's meditative when you don't have to think about it. But what's the point of training a martial art if you don't become better at it, if you're not actively thinking about what you're doing? So we have a cat. Yeah. That's what the noise is.
Welcome our new family member.
So if you're on YouTube, you can see the tiny kitten.
Coco is her name?
Her name is Coco. She's kind of annoying sometimes.
She's really a prima donna. She likes to bite on things. She likes to chew on things.
But I just thought that was a nice way to tie everything together, all things considered, knowing the contrast that was going to be had between, some of the people of different organizations that came in to teach, to be able to look at it from a perspective hey, are you actively thinking about what you're doing? I think that was really important.
Yeah. I keep on saying another cool thing.
Because there were so many.
Dude, there was 3 Taekwondo practitioners that were there.
So, okay. Yep, go ahead.
What?
I was going to say technically there were 4, but go ahead. There's 3.
Yeah, there's 3 Taekwondo practitioners there. And, we all heard the joke, take my dough, right? And sometimes, and for a while I thought it was funny too. And then it just kind of really showed how narrow-minded we are. That, because their business model is different and their way they grade up is different and they're not as effective. But honestly, they had more of a Budo spirit than a lot of us did. They were willing to drop what they had, who they were in their own style, and come and train in a different style and be willing to take that beginner's mindset. And I'm not talking about kids that were only first degree black belt. I'll leave his name out, but there was a 7th degree black belt in Taekwondo there, willing to learn. Right. Showed up with the white belt. Was, and I even asked him, so why are you doing this? I mean, you're established in your art. You're respected in your art. Why do it? And he was like, just wanted to see if I could do it. Yeah. See if I could do shotokankarate. Yeah. to not limit myself to one identity.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that was really, really... I don't think I've been to a seminar where Taekwondo, like, more than one person has been there. I mean, maybe they have been. I just haven't noticed. But I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
That it was, like, something intended to bring together Shotokan people from different organizations. And we also managed to pull in people from other styles, too. I thought that was cool.
And then I want to pat everybody's back and really give them an attaboy. Because I asked all of them. I asked all 3 practitioners, hey, has anybody made you feel uncomfortable? Have you ever felt uncomfortable by your partner or anything within the seminar? And none of them, they were like, nah, everybody was helpful. They were polite and respectful. Yeah. And that is a great representation of who we are and who we're trying to be. Mm-hmm. Is that we're martial artists first. We're Shotokan karateka second. But no matter what, we should encourage and just basically, can't think of the word I want to say, adopt anybody who's trying to learn the art and work on it. You know, no matter what you think and what your jokes are about, when it comes down to it, when they're on the dojo floor, they're just like us.
Right.
We're all the same dude. You know?
You know, when I was in college, it was in 2013, 2014, and back then was when CrossFit was getting a really big name. And one of the problems with CrossFit at the time is that they didn't have really good qualified coaches running a lot of their trainings, and people were getting severely injured. And you can argue that if you want, but the statistics show that that was what was happening at the time. And what would often happen is strength and conditioning coaches were pointing the finger and, you know, talking down about CrossFitters and about CrossFit coaches. And I understand, because they felt like people were getting hurt. And one of my teachers, and I can't remember which one, he said, the best thing that you can do in your field is, rather than pointing the finger and trying to bring other people down, if you can instead try to lift those people up, then you actually raise the bar for the entire field.
Right.
But if you continue to push somebody else down because you don't agree with their perspective, or you don't share your ideas in order to make them better, then you stay down where you are and they stay even below that. But if instead you can try to elevate people, encourage them, share ideas, and try to bring them up to your level, then we're elevating the entire field. And I feel like that's kind of one of the things that we felt like we wanted to do here, is that if there are some of us, you know, we don't necessarily see eye to eye, but if we're open to training with each other, not just in one seminar, but, you know, on an ongoing basis, if we're able to train together, then we can start sharing those ideas. And if we have if we take issue with how a lot of Shotokan karate has been done all this time, then we're able to share, like, why we think that's an issue and what are some ideas to get around that. You know, everybody's got different ideas coming to the table, but I feel like this was kind of an open door for that in order to elevate, you know, what we're doing.
Yeah. I hopefully what happens is that now not only are we able to train with these people, we're able to have honest discussions.
Yeah.
And not take offense to different ideas.
Right. Because we're not going to see eye to eye.
You're not.
In every case.
And there's that saying, you know, agree to disagree.
Sure.
And sometimes I feel like that's something that's misunderstood sometimes, because it can come from a heated conversation that is passionate. Mm-hmm. If you're not passionate about your karate or passionate about what you're doing, then you're not going to have that emotional tie. Mm-hmm. Now, no matter who's in the conversation, I feel like if neither one of them had any kind of emotional tie or passion towards the conversation, then you're really just doing lip service. You're not really having any kind of depth there. Mm-hmm. But the ability to agree to disagree,
right,
and to move on is perfectly fine. And that's hopefully what we start to cultivate.
Yeah.
It's like, not everybody has to be the same.
Right.
Yeah, not everybody has to do exactly the same thing because that's the only way. It's not the only way.
Right.
I mean, for example, Okazaki's karate is different than Yaguchi's karate. Mm-hmm. Yaguchi's karate is different than Kanazawa's and you know, Yahara's and even from Nakayama sensei. Mm-hmm. Their karate is different, but still Shotokan. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand the fact that we can't see that in that generation and go, okay, that's what we're supposed to aim for. It's not to be the cookie cutter, but to be your individual karateka, your individual martial artist.
Yeah. And
be able to justify the things you do, and from a perspective that you own. You know? I feel like sometimes what we've caught ourselves up in this generation of martial artists is that we only want to do what our sensei says because that's the only way. And we're unable to see past that. And the hope for these seminars is to be able to open people's eyes beyond what they're taught and have a critical mind.
Right.
You know, you have the right to decide if that's going to work for you or not. You know, it can be based on your body type, right? So let's just say, for example, for me and Rick Houghton, there is no way in this world I'm going to be able to snap my hips and make that whip action like Rick Houghton. No way.
Yeah.
But can I take the principles he talks about? The mindfulness, the relaxation, the drive, the connection, and add that to my karate? Yes, I can.
Right.
And that'll improve my karate.
Well, and that's why principle-based teaching is so important anyway, is that if you get too caught up in these teeny tiny details and that's the only thing that you can teach or the only thing that you have learned, then that's where you're going to start running into issues because it's kind of like a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
If that's all you have to say is the same type of correction every time and you don't have some kind of principle you're basing it off of that you can kind of branch out from and vary depending on the audience, then I think you're going to run into issues there.
Absolutely. That's our goal. Again, you know, it's beyond the organizational stuff. It's beyond, you know, stylistic difference. It's this idea that you can see the differences, but you can also see the common thread.
Sure.
You know, and that's, you know, hopefully is where we start to really encourage people and truly find their own way.
The other thing is, like, you know, kind of reiterating what I said earlier, is like having a shared experience like this to see that you're not really so different after all is really helpful. Like to see those guys talking about some of their experiences that they had in common, even though they didn't experience it together, was really nice. Another great experience was, at one point in the seminar, I was the uke, and Rick was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, and Lauren's going to hold onto my arm, and I'm not going to be able to take her down. But then when I relax, and all of a sudden he knocks me on the floor, and I squeak like a mouse. And everyone laughed together. So if nothing else, everyone got to laugh at the same time, and now we're all unified in laughter.
Unified through laughter.
At me.
Yeah, not with you.
Not with me. I mean, I did laugh, but not at the time.
Yeah, on the side note of that, you know, Rick was talking to Lauren about that, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know, what was that point for me? That moment of like, this is all right, this is a good thing. And for me, it was at the end of the afternoon session on Saturday, and we're in Muxall, you know, we're all sitting there, and it's quiet down. I mean, no one's moving, there's no fidgeting, it's nice and quiet. The wind brings up just a little bit, you can feel it across your body a little bit, and then the cicadas just start screaming. Wah, 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 wah. And it just brought a mental picture of the summer ending and fall beginning, because that's what happens in Japan. When I was a child, that's what told you the seasons were about to change. Because the cicadas would go crazy.
Right.
You know, and I always have this picture of me sitting at my grandparents' house with the doors open, the sliding doors open, and the mountain breeze coming through, hearing the cicadas and just enjoying that moment.
Right.
And I sat there and savored that for a minute and was like, all right, this ain't too bad, you know? And I was able to see past that because I'm a naysayer. I'm always thinking the worst is going to happen. And being host, it just was predominant, you know, like prominent in my head. Like everything I thought, anything that happened, I was like, oh no, we're going to, you know, break the arrows, or we're going to break these bows, and oh no,
or somebody else is going to run over another planter,
and we're going to have broken planters, but this guy's never going to want us back because we just wrecked his dojo and we had no respect for it, you know. And that was just so predominantly in my mindset that after that moment I was like, you know what, we're not all idiots. You know, we're not reckless, and things are going to happen, but it's all good. It's all good. And for me, that's where it came together, because that, even being told, you know, Saturday night and throughout the weekend, oh, this is a great opportunity. We had a great time. It was wonderful. Best seminar I've been to in a long time. Blah, 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 not blah, 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 but like yada, yada, yada. It doesn't really sink into me. You know, I'm not a person that accepts compliments very well.
Sure.
It makes me uncomfortable, but it takes me time to, what?
I didn't say nothing. Go ahead.
On the other hand, Lauren loves compliments. But it was just cool to have that moment of clarity and a moment for me, myself, to go, wow, that's cool. So. Awesome.
So,
what
you working on? Rock, paper, scissors. Okay. All right. So, we're leaving in about 10 minutes to go to the dojo for classes. So what I'm going to work on today is, I was kind of thinking this weekend about, because I've been working on Chinte a lot and rotational stuff, and I'm going to kind of feel out what's happening in, I don't like to use the word core like ever because it's just such an overused word and it's not super clear what it is. But basically what's happening in my abdominal trunk region whenever I'm rotating and stepping forward. That's something I've worked on quite a bit in the past because I've had a lot of weird hip stuff whenever I step in and do like oizuki or whenever I do gyakuzuki. So I'm just going to kind of reapproach that in training tonight and just make sure that all of that is shored up. Because I'm definitely like still having trouble with in Chinte, the rotation, this transition from Furudachi into Zenkuzurachi, into the reverse punch into your hand. So I just want to make sure that all of the loose ends are tied up there and then, start working through the timing of that again.
Yeah. For me, it's the move where you're on one foot, your right leg's up, hooked behind your left knee. Your hands are down like double Gerabarai, and you step forward and do the Nakataka, and then shift or rotate into Nakataka. Yeah? Just that stepping in there because, you can't fall like a tree. You have to place your foot down. You have to control throughout the range, right? And that's my goal, is to control things throughout the entire range, not just the end point and start point. So that's what I'm working on. I heard a really nice compliment that Sean gave you, and I want to share it with everybody.
Sure.
Sean said he was working with Lauren and Sean Padgett, one of our really good friends.
What's up, Sean?
He says, it was great. You didn't have a tail when you did your reverse punch. There was no tail at all, like no lifting of the shoulder, no nothing. You just punched and it was there. And I think that's probably one of the highest. I think for us, that's a really high compliment. That's like, it takes an eye to see that.
Sure.
And then to know that how much work it takes to get there.
That's what I said. I was like, well, I've worked really hard for that, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I think that's the goal in a sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think my compliment for the week or the weekend was one of the Rod Marcotte, one of our dojo karate friends from Stewart, Florida. He said, "Wow, your karate is really smooth."
Good.
He said that to me. I was, what? That's kind of what I want.
Right.
I don't want to be a bull in a china closet kind of feeling where I'm just kind of bushing through and doing whatever I have to get through. That it's smooth. And I took that as a attaboy.
Yeah.
And I was pretty happy with that. So, for those that went to the seminar and is listening to this, thank you for everything you guys did.
For sure.
We put a lot of this together, but without you and your great attitudes, this would have been a failure.
Also, if you hadn't signed up, it would have been a failure. So there's that.
Yeah. Should we share how much? No? Okay.
Anyway, this is great. We're going to karate now. Bye!
Yeah, bye!